people who train them for this story. And as we first reported in April, we took the opportunity to ask about what happened in Boston while getting a rare glimpse inside the secretive world of America's most elite dogs. Green Beret Chris Corbin and his dog Axe are at 14,000 feet in the skies over North Carolina. They're about to test a new harness that America's best soldiers will use to jump into combat. But it's not for Corbin, it's for Axe. As they freefall for nearly 10,000 feet at 125 miles an hour, Axe is wrapped in Corbin's arms. They've been to war together, nearly died together, and they never like to be too far apart.
Do you think he enjoyed it?
He just wants to do whatever I'm doing. He don't care what it is.
You've said that these dogs feel like they're invincible.
Absolutely.
What makes you say that?
We don't train them to fail.
Sergeant First Class Corbin is a dog handler with 7th Special Forces Group.
Actually.
And he and 6-year-old Axe have been a team for 3 years.
Yes, sir.
They deployed to Helmand in southern Afghanistan at a time when more Americans were dying there than any other place in the country. Corbin and Axe's job was to lead their unit through a battlefield littered with hidden bombs.
We walked in front. We cleared the paths for everyone to move through.
You say it so easily. I walked out front. Like it's nothing. But what does that actually mean when you're the one walking out front?
You're the one risking, I hate to say the most, but yeah, you're out front. I'm the one who makes it safe, or announces it is safe for everyone else to walk behind.
What's your level of trust in your dog?
It has to be just perfect trust.
Perfect trust that begins with trainers like former Navy SEAL Mike Ritland. He's one of just a handful of people in this country who finds and trains these dogs for special operations and top-tier units in the FBI and police departments across the U.S.
What can these dogs do on the streets of America?
The very same thing that they do for our boys overseas, and that they detect explosives. They are a fantastic deterrent. They use their nose to find, people as well.
Would an average police dog have found these bombs at the Boston Marathon if they'd already been placed on the ground before they were sweeping through there?
There's a lot of variables that I'm not aware of as to where they were and what was done in terms of the sweeps, but based on what I do know, yes, if dogs went through the areas where they were placed, your average certified police bomb dog should have found them. My thoughts are if these guys are paying close attention to these dogs, they're waiting, and when the dogs leave, they bring it in, they infiltrate essentially, they drop it right where it's busy, and very soon after it detonates.
Mike Ritland knows from his own experience on the ground in Iraq what it means to have one of these elite dogs on your team.
When you step outside that wire,
Like outside the base?
outside the base, it's crossing the border to hell on earth. Every step you take is that same feeling of the very next step that I take may be my last. When you see these dogs operate in the capacity that they can, using their nose and finding explosives in the manner that they do, that level of comfort absolutely skyrockets in your mind, because you know that you've got one of the best trained, best equipped, best capable, working dogs out in front of you that has your back.
We met Mike Ritland on his 20-acre ranch in rural Cooper, Texas, where he runs his own company.
Tell me some of the things that these dogs can actually do. I mean, they jump out of planes, helicopters.
You can free fall with them, you can rappel with them, you can fast rope with them, you can swim with them. They can ride on boats, they can ride on your back. There's not really an environment that we operate in that you can't bring a dog.
There's such a demand for them that Mike Ritland says they'd be used on almost every mission if there were enough of them. And it's not just about their nose. Ritland is training this dog, Rico, to track humans and take down enemy fighters. He's 3.5 years old, and Ritland has been working with him for the past year.
Stop. Look at him.
about to apprehend a suspect. These dogs can run faster than 30 miles an hour. The suspect is one of Mike Ritland's partners, and he's screaming to make this as realistic as possible. These dogs are trained to capture, not to kill.
There's no human being on earth that can outrun them. You know, I can tell you that the physical capability of these dogs is impossible to explain and even hard to comprehend when you see it.
How hard can they bite?
Hard enough to break bones. I had a dog bite me right here like this. He only had his mouth on me for probably 4 or 5 seconds and broke my wrist.
You broke your wrist in 4 or 5 seconds?
Broke my, I mean like that. Just broke it.
Mike Ritland says they have to teach these dogs how to deal with someone who wants to harm them. The trainer is putting pressure on him without hurting him. The aim is to make the dog comfortable, then teach him to ignore it. And by the end, Ritland says, the dog won't let it affect him at all.
The number one thing that I look for in a dog is that dog, when pushed and when he's put into an uncomfortable spot where physically and mentally he's got pressure on him, and I give him the choice, and it's absolutely a choice, to either stay and fight me or to quit and run. That dog decides, I'm going to stay and fight you and I'm going to beat you. When you do find that, it is a unicorn in that they almost don't exist.
Arco is one of those rare dogs. He's retired after repeated deployments to Iraq and Afghanistan, and he now lives on Mike Ritland's ranch. Most of what he's done is classified, so Ritland could only tell us a little about the operation that almost killed him when he took down an enemy fighter who shot him in the chest.
And he maintained control of the guy, after being shot. So
At point blank range?
Yep. So it's funny because a lot of people, I think scoff at the idea that what kind of things, what kind of obstacles can these dogs really go through? And it's more than most humans.
For a dog to make it in the world of special operations, Mike Ritland says there are certain qualities that have to be there from the beginning.
He's already displaying the prey drive and possessiveness that we like to see, and he'll put uncomfortable objects in his mouth.
Most of the dogs that do this work well are from one breed, Belgian Malinois. And there are only 3 places in the U.S. that breed them for top-tier military units, like this one in West Virginia, where Mike Ritland gets some of his dogs.
No, they're so cute.
Here they specialize in the early stages of training, which starts almost from birth. With loud noises that are meant to get them used to the sounds they may one day face in combat. Their noses are up to 1,000 times more sensitive than a human's, and at just a few months old, they start learning to ignore other smells and distractions while zeroing in on the scent of a bomb.
So here she's trying to get him to be disobedient to that odor, and he won't do it.
They'll repeat this training over and over for 2 years, so that by the time this dog goes to war or is needed on America's streets, nothing will take it off the track of a bomb.
Everybody knows that dogs can smell better than humans, but what they don't realize is that if you and I walk into the kitchen and there's a pot of beef stew on the counter, you and I smell beef stew. A dog smells potatoes, carrots, beef, onion, celery, gravy, flour. They smell each and every individual component of everything that's in that beef stew, and they can separate every one of those. You can't hide anything from them. It won't work because you can't fool a dog's nose.
Dogs and their handlers work as a team, and they go through so much together, their bond is as strong as a band of brothers. Green Beret Chris Corbin and Axe almost died together in Afghanistan on their final mission. Corbin says everything was going right that day, and Axe had already found one bomb. They moved together to an area that had been cleared, and that's when he says he missed Axe's signal.
All of a sudden, he wasn't pulling forward, he was pulling down. We don't play hold still. I wasn't thinking it. Maybe he's sniffing my foot, maybe I passed by a dog. All these other things, why he would be looking down. I looked down, and he was just intently sniffing all around my foot. And it started to occur to me that,
Wait a minute.
with, you know, water's coming out of the building, we're already in a place we know is full of mines. Why is he sniffing down my foot? And at that moment, it was just that too little too late. And that was it.
Axe was shaken up by the blast, but not wounded. Chris Corbin lost both his lower legs. Yet in less than 5 months, he was back on active duty as a Green Beret. He says Axe had a lot to do with it, and described the moment he saw him again for the first time.
They brought him up for a visit, and I heard him getting him out of the back of the truck and opening his kennel, and he was just being just a crazy dog. Just, hey, let me out of here, let's go look around. I just said something simple, hey, where's my boy at? And he stopped, he froze, he looked around, and he went into a panic until he found me. He jumped on my legs. Painful. I was just happy to see him. I didn't care how much it hurt.
During our entire interview, Axe never left Corbin's side and barely took his eyes off him. Corbin says he's fearless because he doesn't know when he's in danger.
Some people might say, well, that's unfair to the dog, because you're sending this dog into a dangerous environment where he could very easily lose his life or limbs, be wounded, and he doesn't understand.
I could make him scared of it and make him not do his job and send soldiers to the same death. That's my answer to that.
It wasn't until after 9/11 that Special Operations formally began using dogs, starting in Afghanistan. Dwayne Khan and his dog Rex survived a tough deployment there in 2010.
I saw my dog, try and smash through doors, climb up cliffs, drag people down cliffs, just track people, find odors that were hidden up in the ceiling. Just you name it. It seemed like every day I was being amazed by these dogs.
Khan has been a covert operator for 21 years. He told us these dogs are so effective, they're now being targeted. A Taliban commander told a member of our team that on his last operation, they were ordered to open fire on the American dogs first and deal with the soldiers next. In Afghanistan, there have been 42 dogs killed in action, and when they're wounded in combat, they get the same care as any soldier.
Cooper.
And when these dogs retire from
Leave her
special
food alone.
operations, some of them, like Rex,
You ain't getting mine either.
find jobs with law enforcement. He's now working with the San Diego Sheriff's Department.
Cooper. Cooper.
Those who can't work anymore often end up with Mike Ritland, who
Are you
started
done?
the Warrior Dog Foundation to look after them.
Are you done, baby girl?
Ritland is the first person
I'll
to
give
write
you
a
some
book
pizza.
about these elite dogs. He says when budgets are being cut, he hopes people won't forget how much a well-trained dog like Rico means on today's battlefield and on our city streets.
And he's your dog.
Right now he is, It's always subject to change, but, he's better served serving our country than he is being my personal dog. So, when the time comes for him to answer that call, I'm always happy to see him go do something for the greater good.
Go to 60minutesovertime.com to see one of our producers try to outrun an elite dog of war.